All right, waiting for guests to join. So, not sure if this is already recorded, guys. Welcome. I've got my co-host coming in, Tamas. He should be here any minute. Okay. Oh, chat's working already. Hey, Sergey. Yes, this will be recorded, guys, and you'll be sent a link to. I think 24 hours after the webinar, the live webinar. So I'm still waiting for my co-host here, guys, and we'll get started on the actual presentation about the case study in about 15 minutes from now. So we've got Tamas also here. Welcome, Tamas.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. We've got a couple of people here already in the chat room.
Hello, everybody.
Tamas, why don't you give us a brief intro about yourself so that people know you as well?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for allowing me to participate. It is a pleasure to work with you, as always. About myself, I've been working in this sector for the last 12 years in purchasing. I have had my experience in sanitary and tools and electronics and lighting sector. And mainly I've been spending my time in Hong Kong in positions like product manager and managing director for companies that are purchasing in China and exporting the goods from China to Europe and to the US.
Right.
And quite recently, 1.5 years ago, I decided to take it one step further and use my experience to found my own company. And together with my colleagues, we are now doing direct business with European and US customers. And recently just started working with Import Dojo also. For the last 2 months, we are also doing the sourcing requests for Import Dojo here.
And a very fine job you're doing at that. Thanks again. Thanks for the quick intro also. We'll still be waiting for a couple more people to come. We've got 15 minutes to go until the actual presentation that I've prepared and will be presenting here in live. Why don't you guys in the chat tell us where everyone's from? We've got Sergey, we've got Oscar, Kathy, Kevin, Erhard. I think Erhard is from Germany, if I'm not mistaken, or Austria. Could be another Austrian guy. Just type in the chat where you're from, guys. I will also tell you in a bit about myself. If you don't know enough details yet about me, I'll give you a brief intro later on. But I think you guys all know me through Import Dojo. We've got New Zealand, Southern California. Tamas, you went to New Zealand a couple of weeks ago.
I wish I would still be there, to be honest. It's a great spot.
It is. Beautiful. I haven't made it yet. We've got even someone from Hong Kong here. Glad to have someone also from Hong Kong. We've got an Austrian, both Austrians. We've got Russian living in China, Yante. Greece, Denver, Colorado. Nice.
A couple of nice places there.
UK. Oh, a lot of places I haven't visited yet, including New Zealand, Greece.
Well, you should definitely go there. I was just about to tell a little bit more. I've just spent 3 weeks there, and I've traveled the South and North Island, and you really feel like being in Lord of the Rings there. You feel like part of the movie. It's really cool.
Yeah, and the two of us are avid fans of Lord of the Rings, so that's one reason why you went there in the first place, is it?
Maybe.
All right. All right, so we've got also India, Canada, El Salvador. Wow, that's quite far.
There's a lot of time zones here, I guess. Thanks everybody for joining, even though probably for you it's not the most convenient time of the day.
It's 9 a.m. here, 9 p.m. on the East Coast in the US. Couple of people, I think India, it's like 3 a.m. right now. Russia also. Austria, it's also very, very late, 1 a.m. actually, 2 a.m. Got Boston. Nice. So just for you guys to know also, there is since the webinar jam works this way through Google Hangouts and YouTube live streaming, there will be a delay of about 15 to 20 seconds. So what you're hearing now, I actually said 20 seconds ago. It's nothing we can do. This is the system. This is how it works, and please bear with us. We'll try to answer the question as they come in also. I'll be walking you guys through a presentation that I've prepared. It will take about 60 minutes. I'll try to keep it as short as possible, but it's really packed with value and with information on the importing from China part, as well as the case study that I've been working on recently. And after that, we'll do a live Q&A. So Tamas will try to answer some questions in the chat already, and while I'll be presenting. And if any questions unanswered, we'll be doing 30 to 40 minutes after the presentation for a live Q&A. And even if I haven't answered your question, then you can feel free to email me at mail@importdojo.com, and I'll try to answer your questions after the webinar. And guys, again, this will be recorded, so you'll get a link 24 hours after the webinar, and you can, I think it doesn't expire really. You'll get a link and you can look at it anytime you want. Benjamin, we are located in Hong Kong. We have been living in Hong Kong for the last, well, me, almost 11 years, and Tamas, 6 years, I think.
Yeah, well, it's 6 years for China actually, but it's only 3 years for Hong Kong. I have also decided to spend some time in Chinese mainland. So I've been to Shanghai and to Suzhou. Also because of my studies of the Chinese language, it was quite important for me, because in Hong Kong people speak Guangdonghua, which is a different type of Chinese, which I would say is barely learnable for a European person. I think, or it's just my mental or my capacity that does not allow me to learn it, but it's just too complicated. And the Mandarin that they speak in Shanghai is definitely learnable. So I spent the first 3 years of my career in China, in Shanghai and Suzhou, and then I moved to Hong Kong. Right.
So Hong Kong is Cantonese, but also widely spoken, of course, is English, because the British have been colonizing Hong Kong for over 130 years, I think. It was then handed over again to China in 1997. But everyone pretty much speaks English, so it's convenient in Hong Kong. But I guess in some rural parts in China, you really need Chinese Mandarin, Putonghua. And glad to have you also on board. on my sourcing requests. You're quite helpful. Someone who is really fluent in Mandarin. We've got Art here. Hey Art, how's it going over there?
Hi Art. It's happy. I'm happy to see some of my customers here in the list. And I want to say, take the opportunity to say it's a pleasure working with you all.
Same here. I recognize a few names here as well. Been talking to a lot of the guys here for a long time already. Actually, Import Dojo's been live now for almost exactly 1 year. And Tamas rocks, yeah. We've got Omar. Is that Omar from Import Dojo as well?
Well, we will never know.
That's the 20-second delay, but I probably guess it's him. All right, so we wait a couple more minutes. We've already got about 60 people here right now. And I'll start the presentation in a little bit. Again, anyone who's just joined in, guys, there will be a replay while I do the presentation. I'll be muted, but Tamas will be trying to answer some of the questions here in the chat. And again, after the presentation, we do a live Q&A where you can also ask some more questions in live, and we'll try to answer them. And if not, feel free to shoot me a message or an email over at mail@importdojo.com.
Yeah, it's important. I will really try to answer all the questions. If I miss anything, it's not because I don't want to answer. Just keep on asking the question if I miss it, because Manuel is quite busy with talking and doing the presentation. So yeah, I will just try to get all the questions that are coming in the chat.
Great. So if you have any questions, when I'm going through the presentation slides, if you guys have any questions out there, just like concerning that particular slide that I'm discussing, again, Tamas has also over 10 years of experience in sourcing from China. So I'm pretty sure he can answer most of the questions. And yeah. Oh, Tamas, how did you manage to snag your girlfriend? She's pretty, right? She's very pretty.
I think Art is envious. Although I didn't see his girlfriend or wife.
We will never know, probably. All right, we have a couple more people. Guys, just tell us where you're from. We have the US, we have El Salvador, we have Austria, we have Hong Kong, we have India. We have a couple of different states in the US. We are based here in Hong Kong, so it's live stream from Hong Kong. It's 9 a.m. here on 23rd of March, Wednesday morning. For most of you guys, it's probably still the 22nd, so Tuesday night. We've got someone from China. We've got Maryland, USA. Very nice. We've got Western Australia. Beautiful.
Oh, Benjamin. We are from Austria and Hungary. So Manuel is born in Austria, and I am born in Hungary. But we actually know each other for quite a long time. The first time we met was when we worked together for an international company in Austria. So actually I moved because there was no reason in working in Hungary. I moved to Austria, and that's where we met. And it was 12 years ago, is it?
2004, I think, in Vienna.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 years ago. We've got Illinois, Phoenix, Arizona. We've got someone from Western Australia. We've got Canada. We've got Mike Russo from Florida. Welcome, Mike. San Diego, beautiful. Washington. Hey, everyone. I think we only have 4 minutes to go anyway. Thomas, what do you think? Should I get it started?
Yeah, I would just say it one more time for the people who just arrived, because it's just constantly people coming in. I will try to answer the questions in the chat. Manuel will be busy with talking and with doing the presentation. But if I miss any question, please just keep asking. I will try to catch everything.
Sounds good. So I'll get going in a minute. One question we have here. How have we enjoyed the life in Hong Kong? It's awesome. Hong Kong is awesome. It's very expensive though. Cost of living has risen significantly in the last few years, and it's getting more expensive. The space is very tiny, but on the other hand, you've got a lot of nature going on. You have the beach. We have a lot of beaches actually here. The weather is pretty good also during the winter. It's a good city. If you're looking to start a company, or if you're an entrepreneur, I think Hong Kong is a very great place to be. And it also does make a lot of sense in terms of taxes. Hong Kong has a maximum taxation of 60%. So if you have a company here and you're selling on Amazon, for example, there's a double taxation agreement between the US and Hong Kong. So you only pay the taxes in Hong Kong, which is 16% at maximum, which is pretty good if you ask me. Other than that, Hong Kong is a pretty great place to be. All right, so we've got Sterling Heights, Michigan, we've got San Diego, we've got Romania, very late there, 3 a.m. Guys, one more time, there will be a replay. I'm gonna get started now on the presentation, and Tamas will be answering the questions in the chat, as many as possible. So I'll try to find my presentation here and load this up and then screen share so you can see it also. Tamas, you good to go?
Yeah, I'm just trying to start the recording. You'll have to wait 20 seconds in order to be recorded in the right manner.
Solo, yes, he will answer the questions by chat.
All right.
All right, we're good to go. I'm loading the presentation. See you guys after my presentation. Tamas will be here in the chat to answer your questions. Well, once again, welcome to the Import Dojo workshop, where I'm going to be talking about my case study that I've been working on since the last few months, launching a $40 kitchen product on Amazon. And I'm going to explain every step I took. Actually, it's a $4.50 product, but I'm going to be selling it for $40 or $39.90. And I'll explain also in the following presentation why and how I'm going to sell it for $40. Right, so who am I? For those who don't know me, my name is Manuel, and I moved to Hong Kong in 2005. And I first started out as a product manager for one of the biggest buying offices in Hong Kong for a European retailer. Now, prior to starting my own company in 2014, which is Mandarin Gear, I worked as a buyer for one of the largest retailers in Europe, handling over 200 million US dollars and over 36 buyers in 8 countries, based here in Hong Kong. Now, I was also working for 2 different factories in China as a sales and product manager in between, getting to know the ins and outs of the manufacturing industry. So I actually worked in the factories in China, getting to know development, product management, and the entire manufacturing process. Right now, I run importdojo.com and Mandarin Gear. Well, Mandarin Gear is my own private label that I sell to retailers in Europe, but recently, and also with this case study product, I launched it on Amazon. I already sell under different brands on Amazon since 2014, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Now, Import Dojo is my brainchild, where I help buyers from all over the world learning about the import-export trade. You can see that also on my blog. There's a lot of stuff that will help you actually getting to know the industry process. Now, being self-employed and running my own business is awesome, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't have all that knowledge if I wouldn't have grinded it out in the corporate world for over 17 years. And this knowledge that I've really grinded out over the last 17 years led me to create Import Dojo. Again, a site where everyone can learn how to import from China and sell on Amazon. But first things first, dealing with suppliers in China isn't that easy, as many of the gurus will tell you, and the process is rather complex. Because there's so many regulations, processes, and procedures to follow, and I only learned that with hundreds of trips to factories, exhibitions, and meeting suppliers along the way. There are literally so many things that can go wrong, and today I want to show you how you can avoid the common pitfalls and become a professional importer and e-commerce entrepreneur. I always say selling on Amazon is easy and everyone can do it, but for me, the spine of this business, private labeling, is the manufacturing and import from China part. I mean, sure, you can get started right away and import a couple of pieces, maybe do the $500 challenge and test it, but there are literally thousands of Amazon sellers doing that right now. So you'll be in tough waters without the proper knowledge, actually. And today I want to show you how you can stand out and be one of the really successful 1% of Amazon sellers. And once you've mastered the import part, along with some techniques for Amazon I'll be showing you today, you too can live a life working remotely from anywhere in the world and escape the rat race. Now, the product we're talking about today is this French coffee press in copper material. This is an actual photo from my Amazon listing. I will also show you the Amazon listing in a little bit. And well, just some quick facts. It's rust-free, heat-resistant glass, BPA-free, and it has an FBA approval. Now, why is those 3 points so important? I'll get to when we're talking about the product. So first things first, how did I actually find this product? I actually saw it at an exhibition here in China. It was at the Canton Fair in October. And for me, going to exhibitions is really the best place to find products because you actually see the product, you meet the supplier, you get to talk to them, and you get kind of a gut feeling already if the supplier is interested in working with you. And as I said, you can actually feel the product. So that's a really big advantage when you're actually in China at the factories or at the exhibition. I do realize it may be difficult if you're starting out and you can only source online, but being at the shows is definitely the best way to find new products and meet the suppliers in person. But I'm going to show you also today how you can find this product online and how you can safely import the same product even when sitting in the comfort of your home. But again, having said that, it does make sense when you're running a couple of SKUs on Amazon that at some point you actually go visit the factories in China, you get to meet your supplier, you find suppliers in addition that may replace your existing supplier if you have a problem, and so much more. I'm just going to quickly go over the outline process here for this case study. The first thing you do is actually you create a to-do list. Now, I'm just going to go really quickly over this. A couple of points here. From when you actually get started, you take out a Word file or an Excel file, it's up to you, and you create a to-do list. Just simply write down a couple of steps that you think are the necessary steps, but then again, I'll be going through each one of them, and you can drop them down too also, or you can also ask me for the presentation and I can send you the PDF of this presentation and you can actually create the same to-do list as I did. Now I'm going to go through each step in detail just to show you a few. We have the sample, check logistics, we get the insert card ready, we add the product on your website, we do the inspection booking, we prepare the launch, inspection shipment, the reviews, wait for social proof, and finally activating PPC or pay-per-click. Now, the first step that you actually have to do is research on Amazon and research the numbers also on Amazon with Jungle Scout. For those of you who don't know Jungle Scout is a really cool tool that allows you to get the numbers, meaning the sales numbers, the revenue, the reviews, and the general rating of the product on Amazon. Obviously, you can also look onto other sites like eBay, or you can just Google the product and see how it sells, where it sells. But for me, since I want to be selling on Amazon, I want to see my competition on Amazon. Now, when I first looked up the product, you can see the first seller here, he's doing about 136,000 US dollar per month. Now that's an estimate sale of 2,576 pieces that he is selling per month. That's a huge number. And when you go down from 1 to 16, actually, I only looked up 16 here, you see that each one of them is in the 5-digit sales numbers. So it's huge competition, but it also is huge potential because if so many sellers are doing it, I mean, there's still got to be some space. Now, what I did first is who are my main competitors on Amazon, and I researched the numbers with Jungle Scout. And based on that, I made a decision, okay, most of the sellers on here have a stainless steel coffee plunger, and I wanted to make a copper one, exactly the one I showed you in the previous photo, because no one really had that at that time. Well, right now, this is the numbers from November 2015. So right now there's a couple of copper presses on there too, but competition is not big yet, and I'm still very confident. Now, second thing you do is you take the reviews and accessories that the competitors are posting on their site into consideration. Now, I've just drawn up a random review here. Basically, when I looked at all the reviews and the accessories, is what were customers complaining about? What could I improve on that product that would make my product stand out? And I've also taken another Word file. I've dropped down all the reviews and the accessories and what customers really want. Now, what I found out was that most customers complain about the rust on the product, that it was not very stable, the glass would break because it's not heat resistant, and a couple of other things. Now, when you go onto the reviews, you drop down a few notes and you mention, you drop down a few notes and then you take it into consideration to improve the product based on these negative reviews. You should also look for the positive reviews, what people really like in the product, and you should definitely add this to your product if it doesn't have it yet, or maybe even upgrade the accessory that the product already has, but you could make it a little bit better. Now, I also get to that in a little bit on the next few steps. Then the next thing I did was, okay, what kind of regulations and certifications do I have to meet as an importer into the US for this kind of product? Now, looking at all the competitors, I saw that no one actually mentioned any certification that they have. And I don't know how you feel about it, but when I purchase a product, I want to feel safe. I want to know that there's no chemicals inside. I want to know that this product is safe to purchase, and especially if it's a product where food or drinks are inside, I want to make sure that there's no chemicals inside and I don't get a rash or anything like that. So what I did is I knew it that I kind of have to have FDA approval, but again, none of the competitors really advertised it on their listing. Now, I immediately knew if I would find a supplier who can actually provide me with a certificate that I can really advertise on the listing to make my customers feel safe purchasing my product, I would actually have a winner there. So this is one of the first things I did. I researched the regulations and I wanted to drop that down also in my notes on when I communicate with the suppliers what I really want from this product. Now, if you don't know how to research regulations, just go on Google and say required regulation and certifications for French copper press, for example, or you insert the name of your product there. And what also helps me, you can actually go onto Alibaba and then you just search by the keywords coffee press or whatever your product is, and then you look at each listing from the suppliers. And each supplier would usually mention what kind of certificates do they have. Now, this is a guideline for you. It doesn't mean that the supplier actually has it, but he probably copied it from somewhere too. But it gives you an idea what the product actually should have in terms of certifications and regulations. Now, again, you want to stand out in front of the competition and you want to advertise, let's call this a safety seal, because I feel confident as a consumer buying a product with a certain certification or regulation. Now, the next thing I did is I have a simple shop. I call it the shopping list. It's actually just an Excel file where I input all the details that I want the supplier to quote me. Now, as you can see here in the description, I mentioned coffee plunger. I want copper plating or real copper. I'm telling the supplier that the material needs to be stainless steel in order not to rust, or copper also, because copper doesn't rust. The glass needs to be heat resistant, borosilicate glass, and the plastic needs to be BPA free or have the FDA certificate. Now, BPA in that case also has to do with chemicals inside the plastic or inside the glass. So these are all terms I researched in the previous point. Like I want the product to comply to all regulations possible. I know that 95% of all the Amazon sellers do not advertise any certification because they simply don't have it. The thing is, a certificate can cost a lot of money. So you want to look for a supplier who can actually provide you with certain certificates, and you don't have to invest into those certificates. Also, you will see I asked for borosilicate glass because many of the reviews said the glass broke when they poured in the hot or boiling water. Now, again, make sure that you really go through the reviews and drop down all the negative points and tell your supplier that you want to, when you contact him, what you really want to have improved on the product. Then, I just mentioned a couple of accessories and the packaging, and I mentioned also the FDA, or the equivalent in Europe is the LFGB certificate, but for the US, FDA is enough. Now, I prepared a simple list. I call it the shopping list, where I input my own picture here. On the left, you can see I leave a blank field for the supplier to put in his picture. And I will also ask him on the right, when you look, the packaging measurements, the master carton quantity, and the MOQ he should fill in, as well as the FOB price, which means the free on board price. But you will see eventually later in the case study that I went for X work prices. One more thing I should mention about this case study. Right now, today was the actual date of the shipment. So I don't have the sales numbers yet, but I have documented the entire case study with videos and screencasts. I'll get to that also in a little bit. But you will see also how I moved on with each supplier and how I decided for which shipment I took. Now you see also here I have two fields. I wanted to see, I wanted to have the 800 milliliter or the 1000 milliliter, which is 28 ounces or 34 ounces. All my competitors had 34 ounces and none of them really had 28 ounces. So I really wanted a product not just different in color and quality. I also wanted a product that no one really sold yet, because if I would try to sell a stainless steel coffee press, I'd be in real tough competition, and that would be nearly impossible. Having said that, if there is a lot of competition and you really have a superior product and you have the right channels and the right means to launch your product, you too can be successful even in a competitive area. Now I've prepared this list with all my notes and on the reviews and improvement points, and then I was ready to send it to my supplier. Now, first of all, before sending it to the supplier, I prepared a clear and concise email. Now, all I did here is I say, my name is Manuel, I'm the managing director, I'm a sourcing office, and we also sell on Amazon. I'm attaching them a simple PDF PowerPoint presentation, and you can make one for yourself also. If you don't have one, it doesn't really matter. I like to send my company presentation because it shows a bit of professionalism in China if you represent a real company behind your email. Now I'm telling him also that we actually sell electronics, but right now I'm interested in the French coffee press. I also give him the model number. I just took it from, in that case, I took it from the quotation he already sent. But if I were to source on Alibaba or global sources, I would just pick the model number that is actually on the website of the supplier or Alibaba. Now I'm asking him for the following information. You can fill in the details. I'm attaching him the shopping list. Make sure that you attach the shopping list or whatever file you want to send him in the email, and I want him to quote me 3 different prices. Now, why do I want him to quote me 3 different prices? Even though I may just order 1,000 pieces, I want to know the difference in the prices, because at a later point when I do the price negotiation, I could actually take because I know the 2,000 pieces price, but I only want to do 1,000 pieces, I could later say to the supplier, look, my friend, I want to order 1,000 pieces, but in order for me to get this business going and to get my product launched, I need the price of 2,000 pieces. Now, he may not give you the 2,000 pieces price, but he may give you a price in between the 1,000 and 2,000 pieces. So you have a bit of a leverage there on negotiating. Then I'm asking him for the available certifications, and I'm also asking him to send me the certificates for checking, as well as the production lead time. Now, why do I ask for the certificates? Because I want to see, if he says he has the certification, I want to see the soft copy. I want to see the PDF file or screenshot or whatever, because if he says he has it, but he can't provide it to me, that means he doesn't have it, or he's not the actual manufacturer and he's just the trading company. Now, I don't mind working with a trading company. I'll also get to that in a bit, but I want to see the certificate before I move on with the supplier. Now, if he doesn't have the certificate, I'll eliminate him right away, but also I get to that in a bit. And then again, I'm just pasting here the entire product description, same as was what I had in my Excel file, the shopping list. I just want to make it clear in the email also. And I want to be very clear in my very first contact email. I want to ask a couple of questions that I really need answered. And if he doesn't reply to any of my questions, I might ask in one more email. If he doesn't reply, like just barely replies to my questions, I eliminate him right away. All right, so again, attach a shopping list and a company presentation. And if you do not have a contact where to go on, like I went to the Canton Fair where I saw this product, you can go onto Alibaba or Global Sources, the two most prominent sites where you can find suppliers online. I'm not going to go in detail how I actually source on Alibaba and Global Sources. You can go onto my site, importdojo.com. You look on the blog, and there is one entry that says Alibaba hacks, and there's another one about Global Sources. Now, both are about 40 minutes of screencast where I go in depth on the sites, how I source and how I filter scammers from Alibaba or Global Sources. Also, one more thing, my course actually features a 2-hour screencast where I go in depth on how I work on Alibaba and how you can avoid pitfalls and get the best out of Alibaba. Now, many of you know already how to work on Alibaba and Global Sources, so please check out the blog. It's a free video. It's a 20-minute screencast each, and it really explains the entire process, how I work with Alibaba. Otherwise, it would take too much of the time here in the workshop, so I'll just direct you to this link. You can check it out later. It's a very easy tutorial how to filter out the suppliers on those two websites. Now, once you've sent out the inquiry either through Alibaba, Global Sources, or maybe to the supplier that you met at an exhibition, you actually have to collect all the information from the suppliers and really compare all the offers and compare apple with apples. I mean, you want to look at the details. Did they really quote what I wanted for? Did they really offer me exactly as I wanted it? And if not, what are the differences? That's a mistake that many buyers make actually. For example, I know that the steel in my copper press, I wanted it to be 304 stainless steel. That's a number, it's a grade for stainless steel. And when I checked a couple of the offers, some of the suppliers actually offered me a lower grade of stainless steel. So it's not really a comparable item. So make sure that when you get your offers from the suppliers, that you really compare, are they actually the same? Now, I've sent my inquiry, apart from the supplier that I met at the exhibition, I had about 7 inquiries that I sent to Alibaba suppliers. I sent about 4 on Global Sources, and I got, let's say, 4 suppliers that were really willing to offer what I wanted. But actually only one really offered me exactly what I wanted, and it was the supplier that I met at the exhibition. So once again, it is so important that you meet your suppliers in real, because they get a feeling who they're dealing with. I get a feeling, I see the sample, I see the product, and it really makes a lot of sense. Now again, if you're not able to go overseas to the factories or to the exhibitions, make sure that you really compare apples with apples when you get the offers from the suppliers. And obviously, once you have 2 or 3 suppliers who are really offering what you wanted, get samples from all of them. I'll get to the sample stage also in a little bit. So essentially, there were 3 suppliers who offered me FBA certificate, borosilicate, heat-resistant glass, and BPA-free. But 2 of them had a very high MOQ, and I initially wanted to shoot for 500 or 1,000 pieces, and the other suppliers were 2,000 or 4,000 pieces MOQ. So I kind of, after this step, I kind of already focused on the supplier who I met at the exhibition. And the next thing you do is you do a supplier background check. You don't need to do this initially already when you send out your inquiry, because you don't want to waste too much time with all the suppliers. You really want to focus on the ones that actually offered what you want. And then it gets down to supplier background check for all 3. Well, in that case, it was 3 suppliers. So I asked all the suppliers for a background check. Now, how did I do that? You recall earlier I mentioned I want to see the soft copies of the certificate if they have one. Here on the right you can see a screenshot of the FDA certificate from one of the suppliers, and also I wanted to do a background check on the supplier itself, not on the certificate but on the factory. For example, this one supplier that I focus on, that I met at the exhibition, they actually have a BSCI audit. Now, what's a BSCI audit? BSCI is a very high standard of social compliance, which means the workers have food they have access to, the workers have water access, they have a dormitory, there are toilets there that they can use and they're clean, and there is no child labor, there is no forced labor. So having a supplier who actually has, for example, BSCI audited is a very, very good sign. So I was really comfortable already with this supplier. Now, the other 2 suppliers did not have a BSCI audit, but they had an ISO 9001, which is a standard certificate or standard audit, which pretty much every factory in China has these days. But again, my main supplier that I met at the exhibition, he had all what I wanted. He had the certificate, he had the factory audit, he was willing to prepare samples and so on. But again, I'll get to that in a bit. Now, make sure to collect all the documents. If you don't know what to look for in these documents, feel free to shoot me an email or just send me an email with your questions. If you have a product and you don't know what kind of certificate you need for this particular product category, send me an email. I keep it confidential. I'll do a quick check for you, not a problem. Now, the next thing I had to do is, again, I go to my shopping list. As you see, these are the later columns in the file where I actually calculate my margins. As you can see in the file, I've already filled it in. I've mentioned the logistic costs. You will see in a little bit how I got to those costs, the customs fee, the buying price, the sales price, my profit, inspection cost, product cost, and the gross possible profit. As you can see here on the left in the yellow field, the logistic costs was $1,800 for 1,000 pieces by sea. And below in the blue field, you can see I checked with my forwarder also the price for air freight. Now you see there's only a 70 cents difference in the air and the sea shipment. For me, this was a no-brainer. I immediately said, okay, I'm going to pay 70 cents more because I have 30 days that I save. It's only 70 cents and I can launch my product as soon as the Chinese New Year finishes. The FBA costs here that you see in column N is the cost that I took from Amazon Seller Central. You have a profit calculator on there. You can just fill in your product details and you'll get the FBA costs. Now, SP in US dollar means my sales price, my planned sales price. This will be really the sales price, not my regular price. My regular price will be $39.90, and the estimate profit per unit. The $12 per unit is already including the inspection cost, which was $309, and the product photography cost, as well as the artwork cost of $640. So you see, I have a potential on 1,000 pieces of coffee presses here of $12,107 US. Obviously, there will be some giveaways and some for reviews and PPC costs, but this is really the gross possible profit on 1,000 pieces for a $4.53 item from China. Now then, I looked into maximizing profits with larger quantities. Now the supplier was actually able to give me 500 pieces as a starting quantity. Now, which means you don't need to do the same as me. You don't need to go for 1,000 pieces. You don't need to go for a color box. You can just go for 500 pieces as well, or at least you can try for 500 pieces. Get a white box with your company logo on, the FNSKU barcode from Amazon, and you have a much smaller starting capital like me, which is also fine. But I wanted to maximize my profits. With 1,000 pieces, my profits more than doubled actually. So this was the stage where I decided, okay, instead of 500, I'm gonna go for 1,000 pieces, and the possible profit would be 12,107 US. And you see also in the bottom here, in the blue field again, on the circle, the second circle in the bottom right, if I would have gone for 2,000 pieces, I would even made 13,700 US. But again, in this order, I went with 1,000 pieces. Bear with me, I'll get to more details in a bit. Now, the next step is when you actually have decided that you want to sell this product is you can set up Seller Central already. Now, what you see here is a screenshot of the back office of Seller Central. Seller Central setup is very simple. You see here also this is only the individual seller account. So I open up an entirely new account here for this project so that you see anyone can do this from the beginning. With my brand Mandarin Gear, I work with a partner, so we have a separate seller account there because you're actually only allowed one Seller Central account. And well, since I haven't launched my brand on Amazon and I haven't been really selling directly through Seller Central, but through my partner's account, I really set up an account from the beginning. I choose the individual account instead of the professional account because back then it was about November and the launch of the product would have been like it is now in March, April. So I would have paid $39 for the professional account for 4 months, even without having a product on there. So just to list your product or to get the FNSKU, you can set up a Seller Central account without any costs, and you can list your products there. Again, it's very simple. You can sign up as an international seller or as a US-based seller. There's just different forms to fill in when you sign up. One is the one for US sellers. It's a pretty straightforward process. And the other one is the non-US resident forms that you have to fill in. It's also a pretty straightforward process. Check it out on sellercentral.amazon.com. It's a very simple process. Now, the next thing I did is I wanted to see actual samples, and I've ordered samples from 2 suppliers. Here you see the sample from my preferred supplier, the one I met at the exhibition. The sample arrived in crisp condition. They even sent it in their color box. I'm not going to be using that box, but you'll see my color box in a little bit. And the sample seemed fine. So don't place an order without having the actual sample. That's an absolute no-no. You never want to buy the cat in a sack. You want to see the sample. You want to test it. In this case, I immediately bought some coffee. I tried it out. It tasted delicious. And the workmanship of the product itself was also excellent. And I was really confident at that point already that this is the right supplier. And the communication was good. He sent the sample not free of charge. I had to pay for it. It was 150 US, including the shipping cost. And this is just an investment you have to take. But don't forget to deduct the sample cost when you place an official order. Not many buyers actually do that. They forget that they paid for a sample and that many suppliers actually tell you, listen, I'm going to send you the sample. If there is an order, we can deduct the costs. But many buyers or many Amazon sellers forget that. They order a sample, place an order, and they never deduct the sample cost. Now this was $150 that I actually deducted later on from the official order, but I'll get to that also in a bit. Now the next thing you can do is you can set up a simple Amazon listing. Again, you don't need a professional account to do that. You can just do it through the individual account, and all you have to do here is really input just a couple of things. This is not the final listing, just to give you an idea, where you put in some, like I said, some keywords. You need to input your brand name, you input the country of origin, you input the offer. Here on the top, you see you can also upload images, description, keywords, more details. Now, I'm not going into detail here. This is a really simple process, and excuse me, it doesn't need to be final. This is just to get your FNSKU, or in my case, as you see at the very bottom, I actually have a UPC code. So I do not need a FNSKU code because I have a barcode that I will print onto the packaging. And the barcode on the packaging will be registered in Amazon Central when my product arrives at the warehouse and connected to their internal FNSKU number. So many people are confused what you actually need here. You can just go for an FNSKU, so you don't need to buy that. Amazon will provide that for you. But if you plan on selling this product somewhere else, you might as well want to get a UPC code. But you'll see that on my packaging also. I'll show you that in the next few steps. Now, to finalize my listing, or to get my listing really together and to calculate the real costs of the shipment, I needed to send an email to my supplier. Listen, check, I need a couple of information based on my 1,000 pieces order. I want to know the delivery date, the export carton size, the sizes and weights, the CBM, the customs tariff number. The customs tariff number you actually get from the customs tariff site in the US. If you don't find it, go on dutycalculator.com where you can also get it. But most of the times the supplier actually knows the customs number. And then initially, as you can see, I asked him to provide rough logistics costs by sea. But eventually I actually went by air, but I get to that also in a bit. Now the warehouse that I mentioned here is just a random warehouse address I picked up on Amazon. It's not the final delivery address. I just wanted to check not the rough costs, but more like not the final costs, so that I have a ballpark figure on how much the shipping would actually be for me. And that was too fast. I also told him I may be sending 300 pieces by air and 700 pieces by sea, but I will decide later. And later on, I actually decided to send 1,000 pieces by air just because of the 70-cent price difference. Now, this is a strategy that you can do if you're not in a rush and you have a limited budget. You could send, let's say, 1/3 or half of your shipment by sea or by air, and the rest by sea, just to save a bit of cost and if you're not in a rush. Also, this is a good strategy. Let's say you already have a product on Amazon. You could order, let's say, 3,000 pieces. You have 2,000 pieces coming in by sea and 1,000 pieces by air, just to restock quickly. But those are strategies for later. Then I also attach him a vendor profile. It's a simple Excel file where he fills in his company bank details, his general company information, his address, and so on. Now, email me. I can also send you the file of this, the Excel file of this format. And then I went to my logistics company. I actually have a few, and I asked them, based on all the information I just collected from the supplier in the previous step, I asked them to give me 3 options. First of all, I wanted an option air and sea. Then I wanted option 2, I wanted everything by sea. And the third option, and I gave him all the details, the weight and the cubic meter, I wanted the third option by air. So I waited for the costs, and it turned out that there's not much price difference. So if you check for logistics with your logistics company, if you don't have one, there's also one provided in my course. You should always check with different companies to see different prices that you get. Later on, I will also tell you why I checked with 2 or 3 different ones. because you can negotiate the price from one company to the other. Let's say I get a price of 3,000 from one company and 3,500 from the other. I could go to either one and say, listen, your competitor offered me 2,000 US dollar. If you take this price, I'll book with you right away. And actually, in this case, it worked. But also, I get to the actual cost in a little bit. Now, this is a very important step when you request the pro forma invoice with all the details and contracts from the supplier. So I sit down, actually, this was a couple of hours that I sat down here and looked through the order placement in detail. Now you can see here in a few bullet points, I'm mentioning again what I really want from this product, what we agreed on, what the terms will be. Like, for example, I will provide a color box packaging. I want the insert card provided. This is all agreed on in many emails and many Skype chats, but you'll see that also in the course. And this is what I actually wanted the supplier to confirm. Then I'm asking him also, if you see here in the middle part, please sign the attached purchase order, and I also give him a purchase order contract. I wanted an exclusivity deal. I tell him all the details of my shipping company. I also tell him here, as you see in point 6, that I will do an inspection, and I will pay for the inspection, but if there is a fail inspection, he has to rework the goods and pay for re-inspection. Now, this is a very long email, and you'll see a couple of contracts examples in the next step, but really take your time, think of everything that you want the supplier to know, what you agreed on in the previous emails or Skype calls, and make sure that you drop everything in this email, so he can't really wiggle himself out at a later stage that he didn't agree on anything. One thing I should mention here again, the inspection. Never have an inspection when you ship directly to Amazon from China, because you want the inspection company to inspect all the details, all the labels from Amazon, the weight, the pictures, the actual product, and if it's really the product that you wanted manufactured. I know that inspection costs from anywhere from 100 to the one I'm using is Asia inspection. It costs $309 US. So if you have a very simple product like a brush or anything that's not electrical, for example, you could go for companies like Trigo Inspection. You can Google them also, TRIGO inspection.com, or Asia Inspection as I use them. They cost $309 US. They have a very simple online booking system where you can input all the details. I'll show you a screencast also in a little bit, a screenshot. Please do an inspection, save yourself the trouble, spend 100 or 300 US dollar in your inspection. Even your order amount may only be 1,000 US dollar. Please have an inspection. There's so many issues that could happen, and you want someone in the factory to inspect your production. I'll show you also inspection report at a later stage, just so you see what can be done actually in the factory. Now, these are some files that I attached to my order email. Here on the very right, you have, for example, a purchase order with the total order amount. Once again, I mentioned the description, the customs tariff number. I asked for the deduction of the sample cost, and so on. On the left, you have an exclusivity agreement, and on the bottom left, you have a purchase agreement in the name of my company. So the exclusivity agreement actually says, look, I want exclusivity for 1 year for this product in this condition with this description. So if anyone from Amazon US comes, so please guys, do not try to copy my product, but you can do other products that are similar, of course, obviously. But I told the supplier I want exclusivity, and he actually granted me the exclusivity because I promised him a certain amount of quantity over the next few months. You can always try to negotiate that. It's not a must, but especially if you have your own product design, or you spend a long time of really developing or slightly changing a product, but it's still unique because of your input, then try to do an exclusivity agreement. Many suppliers will agree on it, especially if you have higher quantities. And then on the left, it's a purchase agreement. This is just a screenshot of, this is like a 12 pages document that I send to each one of my supplier, where I want them to agree on any penalty, on any fees that they have to bear, or in any case of rework or inspection problems, there's a lot of conditions in there that the supplier has to agree on and has to sign. So once again, prepare the order email, attach all the documents you want to send him, like the agreements and the purchase orders, and make sure you don't forget anything in that email. Now, the next step, once you've settled all this and you've paid for your order, order payment is another subject actually. Many suppliers do not accept like PayPal because it's very difficult to withdraw money from PayPal or even initially to set up a PayPal account. I know that many of you buyers try to pay by PayPal because you have a protection from PayPal, but bear in mind you only have protection if you make the 100% payment. You cannot pay in stages like 30 or 70%. You have no protection there, even from PayPal. So most suppliers will only actually work with TT payment, or also called wire transfer. So you make 130% down payment to your order, which I did in this case, and the rest of the payment is 70%. And here is very important, comes the inspection again. If the inspection is fail, he doesn't get his 70%. He can jump, he can scream. If the inspection is fail, I want him to rework my goods, and only after I have the rework confirmation and the re-inspection that he has to pay, because it's agreed in our purchase contract in the previous file here on the left. Once that is done, I will send him the other 70% of the wire transfer. So this is sort of your protection level. Sure, the first 30% are not really protected. It's a bank transfer, but it's very common. Don't worry about TT transfers. Rather stay away from Western Union or PayPal actually, because PayPal also has very high fees. Now, a bit off topic here. I'll get back to step number 18. You want to ask the factory details really for all the product information that you can get, because you need to populate Seller Central now. You need to populate your listing, and you rely on the supplier to give you all the details. Now, obviously, in many cases, the supplier has poor English, or he has maybe like a two-liner product description, and you need to be creative here to fill in the rest of your product description on the listing. But I'll get to the listing in a little bit. Also, you want to know all the measurements, the packaging details, and all other attributes that you need for your listing. This is very vital because you need to input all these details so that Amazon can calculate their fees if you're going for FBA and not fulfilled by merchant. But I assume you're going for FBA, so you want all these details. And also ask if the supplier has high resolution photos. I mean, many suppliers these days have actually professional photography in the factory, or they have someone they hire for a couple $100 or maybe $50 or $100 that take really nice photos. Make sure that you have a listing with high resolution photos, excellent product details, bullet points, and and everything really down to the bottom. But I'll get to the listing in a bit. Now, the finalizing the Amazon listing and the keywords. I did this actually with AdWords Keyword Planner from Google. It's free. As you can see here, you can input a product description like French copy press, and then you have a free result from Keyword Planner here from AdWords. It's a free. You need to sign up, but it's a free service, and then you get average monthly searches on your keywords. Now, you can also go for companies like Merchant Planner, or you can go for other paid services. But I prefer to do this on Keyword Planner with Google AdWords, and just use the best keywords that you can find with the highest monthly searches and try your listing with that. I'm going to show you the Amazon listing at a later stage. This step is actually finishing the Amazon listing with all the details that you have collected from your supplier. If you don't have any photos yet, doesn't matter. You can still input and upload the photos at a later stage, even when your product is being shipped. So don't worry on finalizing too much. Just try to finalize as much as you can. And once you have everything ready, edit the listing. The listing can really be edited at any time, even if your product is live already. So don't worry about finalizing too much. And again, you can always edit and improve your listing on Amazon. So it's not a big deal if you can't finish it now. Now, one thing I want the supplier also to do is to put the insert card into the packaging. Now, you can't see it here in the screenshot, but at the bottom of this Word file, I actually have a link to my site where people, the consumers who bought my product, can sign up for a warranty. Now, why would I want people to sign up for a warranty or sign up for anything for that matter on my site? It's very easy. You're not allowed to put your website on the Amazon listing, so you need to bring the consumer to your website so you can collect his emails. Now, the simplest thing to do that is to print an A4 card or A4 paper and put it into the packaging of your product. And on this insert card, like you have it here, you have a link to whatever, the warranty registration, or maybe he can download a free ebook, or he can download some recipes or whatever, you know. Just try to think of something where you bring customers to your website and sign up with their email. Now, why would you want their emails? Because those can be repeat customers. Once you launch your newest product, or when you get back in stock, or whatever you're launching new, you can collect these emails and you immediately have emails for your launch. Why is it important for your launch? I'll also get to that in a bit. Now, the factory in this case didn't really have nice photos, so I contracted a friend of mine. He lives in Hong Kong. He has a layout and a photography studio. He's not the cheapest, to be honest, but he does excellent photos. What he did for me here is on the top right, you see, is a clear picture with a white background. Then he did a couple of, he calls it action shots, what you see here in the other pictures, with background and even with some coffee and some coffee beans. It looks nice. I wanted a nice picture. Pictures are the first impressions that people get when they come onto your listing. So don't be afraid to spend a little bit more on the photography here. I paid for the layout, and for 4 photos I paid $640. Now, it's not cheap, I'm gonna be honest with you again, but I'm setting up my listing for good. Now, I invest this money once and then it's done. I don't have to pay it again, and I have nice photos from the beginning. Obviously, this guy is in Hong Kong, so he charges a lot because Hong Kong is expensive. You can get similar photos done at a very good level also, let's say for $150 or maybe $200 if you have a friend who does it for you. But again, he also did the artwork for me. On the bottom right corner, you can see my PDF screenshot of my artwork. You see here also on the bottom right, I have the FBA logo. So I'm allowed to print the FBA logo on the packaging if I have an FBA certificate. It's not my FBA certificate, but it's the supplier's FBA certificate, and I'm allowed to use it. Also, you see here on the right, I use nutrition facts. Now, this is a fun thing I put on nearly every of my packaging. I just add some fun facts. I obviously add also the real facts of the product, but you can see it also on my blog. I describe why I use nutrition facts. It's just a fun thing. People love it when they see your packaging and they remember you for any fun facts or any additional fancy stuff on your packaging. Now, this is my final packaging photos. I took the photos and I uploaded it also to my listing, which you will see later on. And I sent the PDF and also the raw file of the artwork to my supplier so that he can print it. One thing about color box packaging that you see here is usually suppliers require at least 1,000 pieces for a color box packaging. So if you have a quantity, when you're starting with 500, maybe 800 pieces, it may be difficult. It could be done by the supplier. Just means you have to pay a little bit more money. But if the supplier is not willing to do it, go for a white box. Have the supplier stick your logo, your company logo, as in my case, you see here is called Mandarin Gear. It's a Mandarin. So have a logo and put the logo on your packaging on a white box. That is also fine if you have a small quantity. But if you're moving to larger quantities, do a color box packaging, and it will certainly look a lot nicer. Now, the next thing I did, I added the product on my website. What you can see here, this is the back office of my website. I'm using squarespace.com. You can obviously use, this is a paid service because they integrate a shop and everything. Now, if you use, for example, WordPress or Shopify or Etsy or wix.com, they are for free, but I prefer Squarespace because it has a very simple interface. I'm just saying you should add the product on your website also to let customers know this is what you can buy from, this is our newest product, because you want to drive traffic from every possible site or social media channel you have to your Amazon listing. Just post your product, whatever website you have. You can also post it with the Amazon link directly. I made a one-pager here. You can check that out also on my site, www.mandarin-gear.com. Now, the next thing I had to do was to book the inspection. I already explained why the inspection is so important. And what you see here is the back office from asiainspection.com. I said to you earlier, they cost about $309 for one man-day inspection. It's 1,008 pieces, so they will in total inspect, I think it was 125 pieces that they inspected. And you see here all this data. This is input by me. So when I book the inspection, I really want them to pay attention to all the details that I agreed on with the supplier. This is to make sure that the inspection company really checks all of these and that the supplier really manufactures according to your requirements. Let's say you don't have an inspection and the supplier ships the product to you or to Amazon, and then you find out that the product is not according to your requirements, or let's say the insert card is missing, or let's say it's falling apart, or it has a lot of scratches on it. Now, an inspection is so important to determine and to find out all these defects during the production, or let's say at the end of the production, because when you get the inspection report from the inspection company, you get a PDF file and it says either fail or pass, and it's up to you to release the shipment to the supplier or not. But let's say if you have a lot of mistakes or problems on the inspection, you want to rework and you will tell the supplier to rework, and otherwise he doesn't get the rest of his money. So please, again, very important inspection. Okay, so the inspection is booked, and the next thing I did was to book the shipment. I wanted to ship, actually it's being shipped right now. It's not at Amazon yet, but I wanted to ship it directly to Amazon. Now, I got all the details here. As you can see, Holly is my logistics company, the girl I'm working with. I'm telling her I'm giving her the information of my supplier. I asked her to contact him. I agreed on all the terms with her already. I give her the address where my product is manufactured, and then I say delivered to Mandarin Gear Limited, Amazon.com in the US. So this address I got from Amazon Seller Central. Don't worry about it. As soon as you create your shipment on Amazon, you will get all the details and you will get all the labels. And one thing I forgot to tell you here also is when you're creating your listing and when you're creating your shipment on Amazon Seller Central, you get labels. First of all, you can get the FNSKU label and you get the shipment carton label. Now, these are things you need to give your supplier. You just get a PDF from Amazon Seller Central and you send them to your supplier and say, my friend, this is the FNSKU label. This is to be put onto the gift box of each product. And then you give him the shipping label, which is in this case, as you see here, it says delivery to. This will be the text. Obviously, there's a barcode on it also so that Amazon can verify it. This is what you give to your supplier in China. And this is also information that you put into the inspection booking. When you book the inspection, you tell them that all this has to be done on the packaging also. Now, when you do all this, first of all, you save money if you want Amazon to label your products for you, and you don't need any prepping by any company in the US or China because your factory can do all this work for you. Now, I know there's many companies out there who help you with prepping, forwarding to Amazon and whatnot, and inspection, but it is all too late, because once your product has left the factory, it is somewhere, let's say it's somewhere in China, or it is in some warehouse in the US, it is too late. What are you going to do? Send back the goods to China to relabel it? No, you will relabel and rework it in wherever it is now, and this will cost a lot more money than if you tell the supplier to label it and to prepare it properly in the factory. So don't worry about it. Make sure that you tell your supplier what to label and how to label. It's all very clear on Seller Central. Also, if you're interested, it's all very clearly detailed in my course. Again, this is what you tell the supplier, and how to book the shipment with the shipping company. Now, then you have some time in between. Actually, from this email until this step, this was only a few days ago, and this email happened sometime in January, because in between there was the Chinese New Year. Now, everyone should have known better to prepare this project a little bit earlier. So there was now a 2-month gap from me paying for the order and arranging everything until the actual production. So, but anyway, I had a lot of time to prepare my launch. Now, what I'll be doing for this project, I'll be using a couple of different services. As you can see here, I put a couple of screenshots what I'll be using. I'm not saying you should use all of them. I'll be at the end of my case study, which will be in 2 weeks. I'll be telling you which one worked best for me. I've tried them for you, and I'll be giving you results of what really worked best for me. Now I'll be trying Sonblast, I'll be trying Review Kick, which is the sister project of Jungle Scout from Greg Mercer, and I'll be trying SpikeListing.com. Now each one of them helps you with reviews and spikes in traffic and in sales. Sonblast actually has a lot of other services. They can give you super URLs. They are talking about heat-seeking apps. They're talking about stuff where you can really drive a lot of traffic. I'm pretty excited about that. So I'll be telling you at the end of my case study what really worked best for me and what you should invest in or what you shouldn't invest in. Now also you see here a small screenshot on the right. I have a bit of a different launch strategy. So what I do is actually I go on the web, I look for my niche. In this example, it would be a coffee press or companies who talk about coffee. So the first thing I did in the last few weeks, I looked for bloggers, and then I looked up the sites and I checked their traffic, and this is the first thing I'll do. So I emailed all these bloggers already. I don't offer them any % off, but I offer them a $50 paid advertisement, and I also tell them, guys, you can sign up as an Amazon affiliate, and every sales that you refer for Amazon, you get, I think, 6% commission. But it is much more effective if I do this through bloggers. Just think about it. I pay a blogger $50 who has a subscriber list of 20 or 30,000 people. Now I pay him $50 to send out an email about my product to 20 or 30,000 potential customers in that particular niche, especially in that coffee niche. It could be anything. If you're selling a fitness product, try to contact bloggers that talk about fitness products or healthy eating or anything in that nature. And then you offer them one paid advertisement, and they boost out your payment. They boost out your product to a lot of potential customers, and you can reach thousands of customers for 50. Maybe sometimes they want a little bit more money, but this has worked for me well so far, and obviously is something that you can try on as well. Now the second step in my launch is the email list. I have about 5,000 people. Not all of them are obviously coffee enthusiasts, and not all of them are my Amazon customers, but I have about 5,000 people of different people on my list. So I'll be sending them a 40% discount. I don't want to give them 100% because from that list, this is a list that I built with hard work. I want to make sales. I don't really want reviews from that list. I want sales. So this is what I'm hoping on to boost my sales. Now then, as a third step in my launch, I will go through my Facebook pages. I have 2 Facebook groups. I have a company fan page, and obviously I have my own Facebook profile. So this is where I'll be posting 20% off. Then I'll be using Twitter and my Instagram account, and also review groups, friends and family. And then at the end, I'll be using SalesBacker for review tracking and for asking reviews. And essentially, once I get my social proof, you can see here number 9, I'll activate PPC. Now, regarding the social media, you may want to start as early as possible. Ideally, you already have a social media network. Let's say you have you're talking about healthy food, or you like to talk about exercising, you post pictures of yourself in the gym. So you're kind of building a followership already. So all you have to do really is to build your brand from your personal interest. So for example, if you don't know what kind of product you should sell on Amazon, think about your passion and think about the product you want to sell that you really enjoy. For example, me, I like coffee, so I thought about this product. Or I also like fitness. I like to go hiking. I like to go to the gym, play basketball. So essentially, I should be selling a fitness item. And in that sense, you should try to build a social media channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram that you can later on launch a product to. This is the ideal starting point when you, especially when you're in a competitive niche, when you're trying to sell a product that has a lot of competitors, but you're passionate about it. You have social media channels that you can boost the product with. So this is the best way to start your product. Just here in the bottom, you will see a couple of links, and all of them I actually emailed. So those is the bloggers list, but obviously I will also go through the other steps as well. Now, one of the last few things I did before the product arrives, I finalized my product on my website just to make sure I have a link there so people can get onto Amazon. If you don't have a website yet, this is the ideal stage where you should create a website, because you want people, if people Google you, let's say, for example, your brand name is Mentoring Gear, and that actually appears on your Amazon listing, and sometimes people Google it. So you want some kind of website where you look a bit professional. So if you haven't started it yet, make a one-pager, make 2 pages, a simple website where you talk about your company and your products, and obviously a link to your product on Amazon. All right, so the inspection at this point is finished. You get the inspection report from Asia Inspection. In this case, it was a pass result. So not that I was lucky, but because I was so detailed to the supplier and to the inspection company. And if you tell the supplier, look guys, I'm sending an inspection, they'll be thinking twice to make any mistakes, because they know there's someone coming, and if they screw up, they have to rework, they have to pay for another inspection. So another thing, please book your inspection. Factories will think twice screwing up your order. So in this case, again, the result is pass. I'm happy with it. I'll release the shipment to the supplier. Now I'm doing the payment to the supplier. The supplier will arrange the shipment with my forwarder. I've talked previously about that, but they will communicate with each other. You don't need to do anything here. You just need to pay the supplier, and you need to pay the forwarding company. Now, in my case, I used air shipment, which essentially was $2,500 US, which brought my my price per kilo. I had about 700 kilos of the entire shipment, which is about 1,600 pounds. But again, about 700 kilo divided by 1,000 pieces. That gave me a price of $3.5 US per kilo. Now, it was a pretty awesome price. I negotiated a lot. And yeah, I was pretty happy with it. So I paid the shipment also. Now, what you can do next is you update on Seller Central that the products are shipped. You just go under inventory and manage shipment, and you can mark this as ship, and you wait until products arrive at Amazon. You'll see here also at the top now, I switched to professional account because I need to be creating coupons, I need to be creating discount codes, and I may want to do the PPC. And you can't do all of that if you're running at an individual plan. So if you haven't switched to individual plan by now, you should, because your product will be arriving soon and you will need to create discount coupons for giveaways. Now you can mark this as shipped here and then just wait for the products to arrive. Now, once the products arrive, you want to have a huge launch. As I mentioned here earlier, on the top left, you can see this is my launch strategy. I have the bloggers, the email list. So anything from point 1 to point 7, I'll do on the same day. My products arrive in stock, and when I get the notification, products have arrived. Actually, I prepare all of the emails and the posts maybe 1 or 2 days before my product arrive, and then on the day of the product arrival, I launch to everyone on social media, my bloggers, my email list, Twitter, Instagram, and so on, and also review groups, obviously. Now, when you create promotions on Amazon, you go usually to the money off, where you give a dollar discount or a percentage discount. One very important thing, I think you've heard it before, you can see this on the very top right corner here. Uncheck the box detail page display box. Detail page display text. If you don't uncheck this, the coupon code that you just created will show on your listing, and anyone could come and wipe out your entire inventory with this coupon code. Let's say you give a coupon code that makes people buy the product for $1 because you give this for a coupon for a review group or a friend or whatever, and you don't uncheck this box, the coupon gets displayed on your listing. Someone would come and could buy all your entire storage for $1 per piece. Now, I'm sure you've heard of all these horror stories. Make sure to uncheck this box, very important. All right, next thing you have to do is reviews. I'm going to be trying Review Kick. I'm going to be asking my family and my friends. I will try 2 or 3 review groups. So this is what you have to do once you have your launch. You try to get social proof, because you want clients to come. You want potential customers, when they look on your listing, you want reviews there. You want people to see, oh, this product is actually really good, and people are talking about it in a very positive way. So make sure to work on your reviews. And once you have like 25 to 30 reviews, here again, I say you wait for your social proof. This is just a random review from my competitor. You can activate PPC, or pay-per-click. This is what you have on Amazon Seller Central. You go to advertising, and you can create your own ad campaign. And once this is done, you should have reviews running. You should have launched your product, and now it's all about optimizing keywords and getting organic sales. So up to this point, I have to be honest with you. I mean, I spent quite a bit of money on the different tools, on the packaging, on the photography, but I wanted to do it to show you that you can do it also in the beginning with even a smaller budget than mine. You can go for smaller quantities. You can do a white box instead of a color box. You can hire a cheaper photographer. You can hire a cheaper inspection company. For me, this took a bit more than 5 months. The total budget was $8,000. A lot of it was additional costs like photography and inspection. The actual product value was $4,530. And if you go for 500 pieces, if I would have gone for 500 pieces, I would have actually had a lot. Could have done it with a lot smaller budget. I could have worked with, like I said, with cheaper photography, cheaper packaging. It's all possible. This is just an example of how I private label my product, and especially the tools will cost a lot in the end. But I did this so I can show you which tool works best for me. So this is it, where I'm at this stage. Product will be launched in a few days, and I'll be having results very soon, and I'll do another workshop on this, and I want to share my results with you, how my sales actually went. And since you're on this webinar, I'm sure you're interested in how it actually turned out, but I'm pretty sure that I'm actually hoping that I will have to reorder within a couple of weeks, because sales of the product itself is just so good that and all my techniques are working. I'm very certain of that I have to reorder very soon. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to show you here at the end of this presentation before we get to the live Q&A, where you can ask me any questions that you have on this particular project or any other project in terms of importing. As you know, I do offer the Import Dojo Masterclass, where you have screencast, video tutorials, we have a community, and my private coaching. So what I want to offer you today is 16 hours, as I want to offer you a special offer of the Import Dojo Masterclass. Here at the bottom right, you can actually see my listing. So this is one of the lectures in the masterclass. The masterclass is a total of 5 modules. 4 of them already been in there for a while, which is about 7 to 8 hours. And the case study, the one I was just talking about, the entire presentation that I showed you, is my newest module, where I talk really in depth about the entire project, from talking to my supplier, from emailing them, booking the inspections, everything that you've seen in the last few slides in very detailed and documented by screencast, just as the one on the bottom right here, where I talk really about, I show you the listing, I show you my supplier contact, I give you the contact of my logistics company, I'll tell you which inspection company to book and whatnot. It's all very detailed. What I showed you now is the overview, and based on that, you can actually go ahead and do that. But if you're interested in really all the details that went in between, check it out, the masterclass. You also get a 2-hour one-on-one coaching with me in Skype, Google calls. In most cases, I actually have more than 4 or 5 hours with each student. I still talk to a lot of my students that signed up over a year ago. We actually have bi-weekly Google Hangouts. So you get the chance every 2 weeks to join me in a Google Hangout with other members. Doesn't matter if you've used up your 2-hour consultation with me already. Anyone is free to join. As you can see here, we have also special guests. We had a Google Hangout with Greg Mercer from Jungle Scout. Here in the middle, on the right, you'll see also we had 2 hangouts already with Peter, who is the CIO of Global Sources. I'd say we know each other quite well, so he's also very helpful in our group here. And there's more to come. You get access to all the past hangouts, and you get access to all the future hangouts. And what's more, we also actually meet up in China. Here you can see a couple of pictures where I'm at the Canton Fair with a couple of German Amazon sellers. On the left we have a US seller, and on the right I actually met up with Will from, maybe you've heard of Will Tienlund. He's one of the best, highest selling Amazon sellers within the excess of 10 million. We meet up, we have a couple of chats, and yeah, you can also check out my testimonials. It's also on my page. People really love what I'm doing. Here on the bottom left, you see a comment from Michael. We actually met up at the Canton Fair. He wasn't a client at all, but we sat together for coffee. Thomas here on the right, he was one of my very first student. He said he broke 1K units in the 30 days, and he's now actually doing about $30,000 per month. He's selling 7 units by now, and that is 8 months later. So as you see, also a couple of other testimonials from people who really went through my course. I've got Pamela here. She said she tried Amazing Selling Machine, PSE, Startup Pros, and she said they were all good. But when she really went through my program, this is what she was looking for: the import part, the Amazon part. It's all in a very easy step-by-step tutorial on my site in the masterclass. And yeah, more testimonials here, just copies. And you'll see actually you get all the updates of the course free forever. So people who first joined my program, they've gotten all the upgrades forever for free. So even if you join today or tomorrow, you get all the updates for free. So this is the teaser trailer of my new course, the one I've been just talking about, the case study. So as you see here, I posted this in our secret group, and people saying, looking forward to it. You see here Pamela, she said she went by every step by step that I explained, and I saved her thousands of dollars. We have Michael here on the bottom right. He says, there's no one else on this planet that will explain and demonstrate the entire process like you. They're all looking forward to the new course, which will be launched today, actually, after this workshop. So yeah, I also wanted to give you the chance to get in on it. I'll be offering you, as a webinar attendee, a 20% discount off the original price. which will be $7.97 instead of $9.97. It's valid for 48 hours. Check out the link below. I'm also going to post it in the chat later on, and you'll see it also in the replay. I'll post the link. So essentially what you'll be getting is the entire case study that I just talked about. You'll get the past material, which is 4 different modules about importing from China, business in China, and also obviously the beginner's guide to FBA and Amazon. And yeah, all for the $7.97. You also get access to the secret Facebook group. You'll get access to the past Google Hangouts, and you'll have 2 hours of consulting with me one-on-one, either via Skype or Google Hangouts. But in most cases, I really do a lot longer than 2 hours. Some of my students I've been talking to them more than 10, 12, 14 hours. I enjoy it. We discuss strategies, we discuss techniques that work, that won't work. And yeah, you also have the whole opportunity. You'll have the opportunity of the community to help you on your process, and obviously also helping you on the progress. You know, there's many people who ask me for private one-on-one coaching. They pay me $1,000. I don't want it. I tell them, please join my course. It's a lot less money. You get to interact with all the entire community, and you have access to me. And you know, even after the one-on-one coaching, I'm here for live support by email, Skype chat, Facebook messaging, whatnot. So I want to make this simple for everyone, also because I don't have the time to do one-on-one really private coaching. So check out the class, check out the masterclass, check out the link. I'll be posting it in the chat also. Get the discount. It's valid for another 48 hours. And yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for listening in. Feel free to contact me after this. I'll be happy to send you also the PDF of this presentation if you have any questions. Now is the time. All right, so I'm now switching back to the chat module. So I'll be answering your questions in live here. All right, Tamas, I see you've answered quite a few questions here.
Yep. My fingers are burning.
I'm sorry, I'm going to give you a break now. I'm going to be answering some of the questions. Now, one question I think that was pretty important is regarding the ASIN numbers and Amazon rejecting shipments from customers. I have heard about it in the last few days, especially. I've read about a few blog posts on that. To answer that question, you know, for example, me, I have a product now shipping in, which is really in a competitive niche, and I'm not gonna lie, I am worried a little bit. But then again, you know, I'm gonna prepare for Plan B, which means I can still change my item to fulfilled by merchant, which means that even if Amazon rejects it, I can still send it to a fulfillment center and sell it on Amazon through that other fulfillment center. Now, again, I shouldn't worry. I am worried a little bit, but I'm gonna worry, and I'm gonna cross the bridge when I get there. So, you know, it doesn't really help to create stir and to create fuss around it now, because it is what it is. Amazon is a marketplace that dictates its own rules. So if you want to sell on it, you're going to have to live by and expect the worst, but expect problems, but prepare for the worst. In this case, Plan B. Joff, I don't really have any fulfillment center to recommend. There is, let me just maybe find, I have a bookmark here with a couple of fulfillment center. This was posted on Reddit. I think it's a pretty cool. It's a pretty cool list. I'm going to type it here. If you follow this link, there's a couple of fulfillment centers in there. So in any case, prepare for the worst and maybe contact some of the fulfillment companies when your shipment goes into Amazon. And Carla, I think yes. I can't confirm that yet, but I think you're probably right that the ASIN rejections are based on the retail arbitrage sellers, not on the FBA sellers, or not on the import from China part, because I think if any problem, my shipment would have already been rejected. My product has shipped yesterday actually, and it's on its way to Amazon right now. So the appointment is also been confirmed by the forwarder already with Amazon. So I don't think there is an issue for sourcing from China. Benjamin, what's the easiest way to send wire transfer TT from the US? The easiest way is if you can do it by online. I use HSBC Hong Kong, so that's pretty straightforward. You can do the online payment. If you're not, some banks in the US won't allow you that, so you have to go to your local branch and do the payment there. There are no really good recovery actions. You can have shipment inspections. I think that's your only safety net that you really have for TT payments. Other than that, you have to go by PayPal, and you need to pay 100% upfront with PayPal. Otherwise, PayPal does not refund you in any if there's any problem. Ben, yeah, we go to Canton Fair 2 times per year. Actually, I go most of the phases, so I actually go 6 times per year, which means 3 times for each phase. Then we have Sergey. How have you set up the payment from Amazon? Is it through your... Yes, Sergey, the payment is through my Hong Kong company. So once I make a sale, you know, it's dispersed every other day from Amazon, and it goes directly to my Hong Kong company bank account. It's a business account, so it cannot be a personal or private account. Taiwan, would products cost less if purchased from manufactured in person? Or well,
already
definitely. Oh, okay. Ali, yes, when you sign up on my page, you actually get the welcome email, and you get a link to supporting documents. And within the supporting documents, there are a few files also, and one file is called freight forwards. And within that file, I think you find about 500 contacts in the freight forwarding industry. Solo, I can recommend you one, the one I used, but it was $640 US, including the gift box. I can tell you straight away that you will find something cheaper in the US, maybe where you pay $40, $50 per photo. But if you're looking for someone in China, actually, we at Import Dojo, we are setting up a product photography as well as gift box design. So bear with us. Other than that, I can only recommend you to look online for now. Roxana, can you import from China and sell on Amazon? Yes, you can import from China and sell on Amazon as a private individual, but you cannot create any promotions if you don't have a professional account on Amazon. Also, the companies in China might likely ask you who you work for, and if you say roxana@gmail.com, it doesn't look very professional, and the supplier may be worried that you're not a serious customer. So at least set up a company website, set up the emails that have your company name in the email and not Gmail, and then you can worry about the administrative part later on. You don't need to have a company. Carolina, when you say color box packaging, do you mean that's a color box versus brown? Yes, color box packaging is a real full color box versus a white box where you only have maybe a logo printed on. But a full color box is a color box packaging. Julian, as part of your launch strategy, currently I have about 2,000 people on my Facebook group, and Twitter I have only 1,000. I don't do much there, to be honest. I'm trying to grow it. But on Facebook, you can also retarget your customers. So you can insert pixels on your website that lets you track the customers who came to your Amazon listing. And then through Facebook advertisement, you can retarget these customers. I've had my page up for about 1.5 years now. Mike, do you provide video content or instruction on product promotion? Yes, Mike, I have a video content. Actually, I'm gonna in 2 weeks from now, I'm gonna be doing another webinar that really shows the results of my launch, and that will be posted public on my site. It will be probably a 20-30 minute video in where I explain what launch strategy I used and how I promoted my product and what worked and what didn't work. So as you see in the presentation, I have quite a few costs, and to be honest, I wouldn't usually do all of the paid services, but in this case study, I'm trying to find out what works, what doesn't work, and I want to give this to you guys so you can see what really works and what doesn't work. EON is so I'm not really sure I don't understand the question. Mina, I usually go for products that I have passion for. For example, I'm an avid coffee lover, so I went for the coffee product. But I also love the outdoors. I love hiking. I love going to the gym. I love going to the beach. So naturally, I will pick a product that I really enjoy creating or that I enjoy selling. Because, for example, my wife is doing textiles, so I'm not really interested in textiles. So this would be a product category that I'm not really interested in selling. If you're asking me how to find profitable products, I have that on my site. You can check it out also. But I recommend you to look beyond Jungle Scout and all the other tools out there, because I personally think the best way to find products is when you go onto exhibitions, when you're in a shopping mall, when you're traveling, when you see something that does not exist where you live. Maybe, for example, you're going to Thailand on a trip, and you find something really cool. You might think this could be working in the US as well. So I pick products this way. Solo, yes, there is a trade agreement with the US and Hong Kong. No, I pay 16% withholding tax. Kathleen. Yes, if you have a UPC, Kathleen, if you have a UPC barcode, you don't need an FNSKU. You can do either one, but if you're selling outside Amazon, you need a UPC, and you don't need a FNSKU. But if you're only selling on Amazon, you only need a FNSKU, and you get that when you create your listing on Amazon. Yeah, if you have different sizes, you need different UPC codes. Geoff, yes, I have purchased liability insurance that cover the products that I also sell to Europe, to my retailers under my own private label. But I have one, yes, that covers pretty much my Amazon business as well as my retail business. You can check out hsbc.com.hk. They offer that for Chinese-based sellers or sellers in the US who are importing from China. Incorporated, no, I don't sell on Squarespace because the traffic on my site is honestly not that good. But you could, and it works well. Ben, on the company website that you show suppliers, do you show the products that you sell? I prefer to keep it confidential if it's really a cool product. Right now, for example, I'm developing a Kickstarter product. I'm not going to show that anywhere until it is launched on Amazon. And I also have exclusivity agreements with my suppliers there. Tamas, maybe you can answer John.
I already answered.
You already did. Sergey, did you have to register in US states to collect sales tax? Generally, what about all the taxes you need to pay? Sergey, I did not need to register in the US states because I'm not in any tax, there's a word for it, international sellers. If they're not present in the US with an address or living there, they do not have to pay tax in the US. It's a bit of a gray area there, I admit it, but you can also find some info on my blog there. I wrote a blog post on the tax issues in the US for international sellers. Then we have Corolla. If you buy over Alibaba, there is an option trade assurance. Corolla, that is correct, but I have also heard of suppliers who actually advertise that they have trade assurance, but they don't comply with it, and eventually when you place the order, they say, sorry, we don't do trade assurance. So again, I never really work through trade assurance or Alibaba. I usually go off Alibaba, if I even source on Alibaba, and then I make my contracts and my deals with the supplier via email. Ryan, yes, I have the trademark for my logo. Well, I registered the trademark in Hong Kong, and you can register several product categories under the trademark, and that also counts in the US. Thanks, Mike. Cheers. Ioannis, I want to say he will get the money, and after that he won't have to hurt. Yes, but it's not smart, to pay 100% upfront, because you have an inspection, and if the inspection goes fail, the supplier has already all his money, and he might not rework the products for you. So I only suggested PayPal if you really want some insurance. But if you go through TT payment, there is no insurance. Ben, if you want to sell, if I go to retail and Amazon, I only always put the UPC on there. I don't see the necessity of the FNSKU barcode, because I might always go and sell the product somewhere else. Carla, yes, Tax Nexus, thank you. Incorporated, how long does it take you from the first shipping?
I already answered that.
Okay. Alice, the name is a bank, hsbc.com.hk. They're a big bank. Okay. Benjamin, I made a Kickstarter for a product that did not exist. So I developed the product from the scratch. And actually, we are in the last few stages. I can't say much about it. But I do not take a product that exists and put it on Kickstarter. I create a new product. How does private labeling to retailers versus selling on Amazon compare? Well, Benjamin, selling to retailers is a lot longer process. Sometimes it takes up to a year or 2 years to actually get an order from a retailer. For example, when I started, I was quite lucky because I had a lot of contacts in the industry. So I had customers to go on with. But if you're starting out from zero and you want to sell to retailers, it can take up to 1 year or 2 years even. But once you get the order, you get nice quantities. For example, a recent order that was shipped was for a headset of mine to a French importer. It was 20,000 pieces in one go. So that is really nice. Taiyi, the certification you showed was okay. I think the certification was issued in 2011, not expired.
Yeah, you always have to look out for valid certificates. So there is an issue date and a certificate validity date.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can hear me, guys. I'm trying to work out to get Manuel back online. It seems he has a connection problem. All right, great. Thanks. Thanks for the response. Yeah, Manuel is back online, so he will be back in quite a few seconds. There he is. Welcome back.
Sorry, guys, my internet connection dropped. I cannot see the chat now. Okay.
So let's just pick up with the last
Yeah,
question, right? So the last question you didn't answer was from Ella. Hi, Manuel. On Alibaba, there is a way to work out who is the manufacturer, sourcing agent, and trading company. Often it is really hard to know who you're dealing with.
that is very true. What I would recommend you is when you look at the addresses that are on Alibaba, if you see something like Wuxing Street 135 building B, C, and D, that sounds like a factory address. But if you have an address like Executive Tower Room 5, that sounds very fishy, and that sounds like a trading company who only has a small office and who is trading products. So when you look on Alibaba, also ask for the factory reports, like a factory audit, or ask for any certification on the product, and then on that certification you usually see if the issuer of the certificate is actually the company that you're working with. So try to get PDF soft copies of the certificates and also of the audit report. If they refuse to send this to you, it's very likely that they're a trading company and they don't want to reveal their actual factory. How did you know about the stainless steel grade? Well, I've been in the business for 17 years, and I worked a long time also with metal products, so I know that the stainless steel grade has to be that grade. But if you don't know, go on Wikipedia. There's actually an entry on stainless steel grade, and you can find out what is the best grade for your use. Have I missed out any questions, Tamas?
Well, there was a nice one from Benjamin, but it's not a question. It says, "Thank you, guys. You are above and beyond the rest." I like messages like that.
Appreciate that. Bernd, can you use UPC in the EU too? No, you can only use EAN in Europe and UPC in the US, and not vice versa. Julian, the SGS certificate our supplier showed us has a different. That's Julian. That's probably a sign that the company you're dealing with is either the export agent of the factory or a trading company that works with the actual factory. But don't be worried or alarmed. Sometimes the actual factory do not have an export license, so that does not. So they cannot export anywhere outside China. So they have to work with trading companies or export agents. I would just ask the supplier straightforward, are you the agent? Are you the trading company? And if they provide you a good service, if the communication is good, I always say, okay, I'm happy to pay 5 or 10 cents more if I have to work with a trading company. Ben, yeah, I think I just answered that also. You don't really see if it's a factory. I mean, you see on the report if it's a factory or not, but trading companies can also issue certificates. So you really have to ask your factory. In corporate, have you invested in tooling? Yes, for my Kickstarter project, I have actually invested. And also for some of my Bluetooth speakers, I have invested in tooling. Thanks, Khan. Kenneth, do you recommend selling inventions that are public domain? And if so, how do you go about locating? Kenneth, I don't recommend you to do so because you may infringe on any copyrights or any trademark issues. Well, if they are public domain, yes, but I would still try to modify the product a little bit so that it makes it unique for yourself. And it's difficult to find factories. If you've never worked in China before, you can't just come and say, I have a sample here, are you willing to make that for me? Suppliers are usually waiting for you to place an order for a common project first, or they need to see like sales numbers, they need to see figures, they need to see, are you willing to invest money into the tooling? And you'll take it from there. But the best way would probably be to go to an exhibition. It's very difficult if you're sourcing online and you're trying to find factories who are willing to develop a product for you. So you actually take your sample, go to China, or go to a local show. There are lots of exhibitions in the US also where Chinese suppliers are, and take your sample there and try to communicate that way. Ryan, is it necessary to trademark a name for a private label?
I answered that.
Okay. Carla, yes, most of the times you get better prices if you work with manufacturers off Alibaba. Reason being is that on Alibaba, the suppliers know they can put up any price they want, and for an unseasoned importer, like if you're just starting out and you have no idea about prices, it may sound cheap to you. But if you work with manufacturers off Alibaba, they are actually more professional. And I'm not saying that some suppliers are not on Alibaba, some are on Alibaba, some are not on exhibitions, for example. My recommendation is always try to work outside Alibaba whenever possible. Drink some water. I was in China visiting suppliers. Ben, you can't really know unless you ask them for the company certificate, business registration. You can ask them for a PDF presentation or PowerPoint presentation to give you more background on the factory. I can't really say. Sometimes I also can't say on a PDF file this is a factory or not. But it is a feeling that I develop when you see an email from a supplier, and from the beginning he keeps telling you he's the factory, and then he sends me a certificate and the name is completely different, and he's trying to find excuses, then it's probably a trading company, and I probably don't even want to work with him anymore. I can discuss costs of tooling, but it really depends on the product. If you have a plastic injection tooling, it could be $200. If you have a metal press tooling, then it could be $5,000 US. So it really depends on the product. Need some water.
Concerning tooling, I might have some input on this. So the tooling size increases exponentially with the size of the tooling cost increases exponentially with the tooling size. So we have just purchased a tooling for an item that is 1.20 meters times 30 centimeters. So the tooling is actually 2 meters times 1 meter, and the tooling cost is $35,000 US, even though it's a plastic injection tooling.
Crazy.
So it's really about the size of the item that you want to do.
Very true. Carola, yes, sometimes I may look on Alibaba or Global Sources. Please, guys, also check out Global Sources. Is, in my opinion, a much better website. I connect with them there, and then I find them outside Alibaba, and I connect there because I'm not going to use trade assurance anyway on Alibaba, so there's no point for me to go through Alibaba. Ella, when you're dealing with Alibaba suppliers, how much can you realistically expect to negotiate? It really depends on the quantity that you're looking for. Most of the suppliers that put, let's say, a $5 price on Alibaba is based at least on their MOQ, let's say 1,000. And if you come with 500 pieces and then you're trying to negotiate, it's very difficult. What I usually do is I email the supplier directly through his email address, not Alibaba. I say, give me a price of 1,000, 3,000, and 5,000 pieces. And then I have a range of prices, and then I see what I could try to negotiate. Even if I go for 1,000 pieces, I already know what is the $5,000 price. And then I probably tell the supplier, look, I'm going to buy 1,000, but I need your price for 5,000 just to support me, just to get the business going. And maybe you can agree maybe on the $3,000 price. This is how I try to negotiate sometimes. Alice, how can you ask for smaller MOQ? Well, it's very simple, actually. When you ask for like a white box only and no printing on top, then suppliers are usually willing to drop the MOQ. Unless it is a product that needs a special raw material, the suppliers also have no choice they need to order the raw material as well. So sometimes they need to order higher MOQs from their sub-suppliers. But if it's not a difficult item, you can try to negotiate through through a white box, or you can promise him also larger orders in the future. That doesn't always work, but you can try it. When I get the initial price from a factory, how much can you negotiate that price, Chris? Usually I'd say cut off at least 20% once I'm placing the order. So I don't really negotiate right away. I have a feeling of the price. So when I have the order in hand and I'm about to send the supplier the email, I say, look, my friend, here's 5,000 US dollar. I've got the order in hand. Do you want it or not? Make this price. If you can't make it, then there's no order. And usually we won't agree on my target price, but we can at least agree on a price in between. And that is where I usually try to negotiate, because he smells the money, he sees the order, and that's where your negotiation will probably work best. Tavon, I usually work with China freight forwarder because US freight forwarders are in a different time zone, so they need time to connect with their people in China. The Chinese people connect back with them. So you lose a lot of time in between, and frankly speaking, the US forwarder, they charge higher costs unless you work with a really big company and you have real large quantities. Other than that, try to work with a Chinese freight forwarding company. How long does an email conversation take? Length of time? Not sure I understand the question. Maybe until the order, it's probably like 6, 7 emails, maybe 4 or 5 Skype calls, and a lot of Skype chats. Robbie, yes, it's possible to set up a LLC in Hong Kong. It's actually called a limited LTD. It is possible, but it has become very difficult in the last 2 years. The Hong Kong government has really put down the foot on a lot of companies trying to use the low tax system here in Hong Kong. So you really have to prove that you have business in Hong Kong and that you at some point will employ staff in Hong Kong so that you support the local economy. It is possible. There are a lot of companies helping you to set up companies in Hong Kong, but it's gotten a lot tougher. Carolina, no, I usually don't have any unique names. I give them a model number. I usually stick with one brand name, like Mandarin Gear. I sell a couple of other different brands, but it's just a feeling. For example, if I have a fitness product, I'd probably give it some fitness-related name, but nothing really special. Tone, I have 3 products that have failed. My question is, how do you decide what you are going to sell? Well, that's a very good question. The first product or the 3 products that might or might not work, for me, it's really always also a leap of faith and how I improve that product compared to the competition. Sometimes I also step into the dark with my product. It is what it is. I know you should ideally go for larger quantities right in the beginning, but most of you are just starting out, want to test a few, like 200, 300, 500 pieces. It's just difficult to negotiate prices, get good packagings, and improve the product really with low quantities. So I guess to answer your question, I would say set yourself a minimum budget of like 3,000 to 5,000 US dollar. Try one product with that budget, or maybe 2. Put yourself in the higher price category of items so that you can order at least 500 or 1,000 pieces, like the coffee press that we just discussed, and try to improve that. If you have a very competitive niche and you can't really improve the product that you want to sell, and you have no means of social media launch, for example, then look for a different product. Robbie, can you discuss the new Amazon policy and how it affects our listing? Super URLs banking to the free givers. Yes, super URLs apparently are banned, but I talked to Anthony from sonblast.com. He said super URLs are still working. He said they're within the terms of service of Amazon. You can, of course, still do free giveaways. The only thing is, anything that you discount higher at 50% does not give you a verified review on your account, and it may get deleted from Amazon also. So if you really do free giveaways, don't do too many, maybe 20 to 25 friends and family, not review groups. And review groups, try to give less, not more than 60%, so that at least you get verified reviews. Ella, yes, I don't really have a reverse engineering process. I haven't used TradeSpark. For me, it's really like, because I have a large network and I know so many suppliers, I can send the photo to the supplier and say, can you help me find it? And sometimes I know the supplier, but I guess it's just experience and having been here in China so long. So there is no bulletproof way to reverse engineer or find a product in China from a competitor. Julian, yes, I've tried paying bloggers and paying them through the affiliate link from Amazon. And actually on my last launch, I did the same, and I had about 60 sales in one day from one blogger, and I paid him $50. So I think I gave 20% discount also then. I think I made nearly $1,000 on that day just through the bloggers, and I paid him only $50. So it works for me.
Incorporated, I already answered.
Okay. Ella, I usually use asiainspection.com, or you can also check chinaqualitycheck.com. They are for $100. I've tried them a few times. They're doing a good job. But just for more complicated, or let's say electronic items, or if there's some complicated process in the product, use a bit more expensive company like asiainspection.com. They charge $309. Ship directly to Amazon. No need to prep and label in the US. It costs a lot of money. And if you give clear instructions to your supplier and to your inspection company, you shouldn't worry about sending directly to Amazon. It's a straightforward process. Ben, I have about 2 to 3 products that I'm sourcing monthly for myself, and I probably launch 1 out of those 3. So by the end of the year, I usually have 20, between 10 to 15 new products. Okay.
Incorporated, I would like to answer that question. So it's really difficult to get a mock-up sample of the item if it's not something that some other customer already ordered before you. So if you want to see your own design and your ready product, the easiest thing is to get a production sample. If you do not trust the supplier, you can pay for a mock-up sample, but the quality of the mock-up sample in your own design will always be less and a little bit different than what you get from mass production. Also, you will probably not get your packaging. So you will only get the item, but the packaging will be, since the suppliers have a minimum order quantity with the packaging manufacturers, they cannot supply any packaging to you. So you will just get the mock-up item.
Ryan, yes, happy to elaborate on that subject. If you've seen maybe on Facebook or in the groups, Amazon has started to reject shipments for low turning ASIN numbers. So if you have a product and that product is maybe already on Amazon, maybe even 20 or 30 different sellers, and it doesn't really, there's no, how do you call that? There is no turning. Not turning. If the product doesn't sell well for any of the competitors, Amazon might reject it because they have huge problems with their warehouses. The warehouses are bursting, so they started to reject some shipments. But as earlier said, it may be only for retail arbitrage. I can't confirm that at this stage yet. Carolina, I see some sellers offering lifetime guarantee. I would never do that. I usually do a 1-year warranty. That's more than enough, because there will be customers who come after 5-6 years who claim they have lifetime guarantee. So I don't really do that, and I don't see the point in that. Ben, yes, we do sourcing. We have we have a large database on suppliers, so we can help you with that. But if you look on my tools and resources page, I do also mention other companies there. I'm not going to only mention us, but we can help you. We've been in the business for long, and we do it on a daily basis. incorporated. My warranty covers replacement of the product, or for example, in this case, the coffee press. I will replace the glass for the customer for free if it breaks due to heat. But I guess you really have to find out what your product is and what you can offer for warranty there. Ella, sorry, I can't really answer that question. Not much experience there, but the Google Hangout is recorded, yes. All right, so we've heard from a couple of people. Is there anyone in the chat still would like to ask a question? Run long here already.
Yeah, so actually I would like to take the opportunity to say once again that what I just posted, that Import Dojo offers a lot of services that can help you guys get the right supplier, the right product, the right solution for your problem, actually. And Manuel made a lot of flat fees that include the basics to finding your right solution. So if you have a look at the website, or probably you already have, then you will see that there are flat services for sourcing, for product development, and we also offer agent solutions. So yeah, just have a look.
Sure. Carla, thanks. Robbie, go ahead with your question. Alice, globalsources.com is very good. They have a lot of different stuff. They offer different stuff like e-magazines. They have a smart database where you can check a lot about importing. And obviously, they do the same as Alibaba, just with a few less suppliers. They're not as well known, although they are 10 years, 17 years longer in the business than Alibaba is. It's just they're not so popular. We hear a lot of thank you, so I guess a lot of people are leaving now. It was awesome to have you all. Feel free to message me at mail@importdojo.com or just check out my blog. Robbie, if you don't get FDA approval, will US not allow shipment? Well, for example, if you have a product and you're not sure if it needs FDA approval, the only way to find out if it needs actually FDA approval is to ask a third-party testing company. But in most cases, you don't need an FDA approval unless it's really a product that you put into your mouth, like a spoon or something. So I guess you will have to at least ask the supplier for the raw material certificate if they have FDA approval. So your whole product doesn't need FDA approval unless the product is, except the product is manufactured according to the standards at least. You can also get a letter of guarantee from the supplier to say the product has been manufactured according to FDA. And the US custom will allow to ship it in if you can at least provide a FDA letter of guarantee. Thanks. We have a lot of thank you. I appreciate everyone coming here. Jerome, the opportunity in Hong Kong is amazing to start a business. Like I said earlier, it's become difficult to open a company, but the opportunities are endless. You're so close to China, also you're close to the factories. Even if you're not really selling a physical product, there's so much energy within Hong Kong that really drives you. There's so many entrepreneurs, so many social media so many gatherings where you can meet other like-minded people. So starting a company in Hong Kong has been really one of my, well, it has been a very good process for me, and I enjoyed it very much. Eberhard, the reasonable Chinese inspection company would be ChinaQualityCheck.com, I think. If you don't find it, Google Trigo, Trigo inspection. That was the cheap one, yeah. And the other one Tamas mentioned. Michael, I will share the link. It will be sent to you automatically 24 hours after this. Incorporated, we will have another webinar in 2 weeks with the result of my case study, where you will see the launch and how much, hopefully how much I made on launching the product. Ali, yes, the link will be sent to you to your email to which you signed up. And Alice, so far I don't source from Vietnam. I'm not really in that category. Tamas, maybe you can say something. You've sourced from Vietnam before?
Yeah, I just asked Alice, source for what? So it really depends. Asia works in a very strange way. Only some product categories are in certain countries. So it really depends on what you want to source. Vietnam is very good for steel, for example. They do a lot of screws and nails and iron mongery. So it really depends on what you want.
Yeah, true. Have you worked with creative people in the US? I'm not sure I understand, but I do work with a couple of people in the US, and I think many of them are creative. I have a few good friends. I have good relations with a couple of very creative people in the US, but also some business opportunity, not just friends. How important is having your own website? Well, I think when you launch your product, you should have at least one page that says something about you, about maybe a picture of your product. I think if you have a great product and you put a lot of work into developing it and improving the product, I think it makes sense. You know, it takes you maybe a couple of hours to set up your own website. There are lots of free services out there, so you don't really need to pay much. It takes 2-3 hours to set it up. I'll suggest you have at least one page to do that. Ali, sorry, I don't have any recommendation in the US for product photography. I usually do them here in Hong Kong or China. If you use DHL or UPS, DHL or UPS are not freight forwarders or agents. They are couriers, and they are a one-stop solution. They're usually 30 to 40% more expensive than air freight with a regular freight company. So they also have advantages in customs. So because DHL or UPS, they ship a lot of stuff every day through customs, they have a special channel for clearance. So they just get waved through customs mostly. And that's why they're so expensive also. But if you use a freight forwarding company, they can also get the product to the Amazon warehouse, like I do in my case study with the coffee press. But it's a bit more complicated. You need to fill in forms. You need to ask them to make appointments. You need to communicate between supplier and freight forwarder. So it's a lot more complex. But just to give you an example, my price for air freight was $3.5 per kilo, and I think that's an all-in price, and I think you can't get that anywhere with DHL or UPS. So that's nearly half of what you usually get on DHL. All right.
That's it, huh? I think we are through.
I think so, yeah. This was great, and it's been 2 hours.
Here's one more question.
Julian, yes, I picked the product with big competition because I want to show you that you can do it as well in a big competition. I know that I have a bigger social media reach maybe, but you can try the bloggers, for example, or you can try the paid services like Zonblast or Review Kick is actually for free. There are many others out there, and well, you're looking forward to see how I crack that. And obviously, this case study should be an exemplary case study, and I hope to do well. If I'm not, well, you know what? At least I probably sell at 5 to 6, maybe 10 pieces a day in a month or so, and I'm happy. I'll make $100 a day, and that was well worth it. So even if I don't get on page 1 and don't make $500 per day on that product, I'm quite happy about it. So you don't always shoot for page 1 and the best product. You can still make a lot of money even if you have a if you are in the lower ranks on Amazon. It's just about building the social media channels and how to reach out also to bloggers and building your email list and customers. There is a mailbox forwarding service in Hong Kong. Yes, please email me. I will forward to you. I don't have it yet. I don't have it in my head, but email me, Ben, and I'll send you the info.
Generally, there are many companies doing this in Hong Kong. I also answered to Ben. It's around $300 per year, and they will provide address services also.
Are you able to order your own product from Amazon directly since they only ship to US? Yes, I'm able to order my own product if I put shipment settings on Seller Central to International. Should be. All right, Thomas, I think we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Thanks again for helping. Guys, again, there will be a replay. You'll get the link in 24 hours from now. You can also see the higher resolution. I'm sorry, and I apologize for the small screen. I've seen that in the chat, but I can't do anything. The software doesn't allow me to increase the size of the screen. And also, if you're interested, contact me, and I'll send you the PDF of the presentation that I just showed you, so you can look through it in detail. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thomas, thank you very much.
Thank you, Manuel. Thank you, participants.
Sounds good. Guys, thanks again. We'll get info out on the next webinar. And email me if you have any more questions. A bientôt. See you later, guys.
Bye.